Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Spruce Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 11 NFL Power Rankings. So, going over last week's rankings and what those teams did in Week 10. Last week, at number 10, I had the Eagles. They demolished the Cowboys 34-6. 9 was the Steelers. They beat the Commanders 28-27. 8 was the Texans. They lost to the Lions 26-23. 7 was the Packers. They were on a bye. 6 was the Vikings. They barely beat the Jaguars 12-7. 5 was the Commanders. They lost to the Steelers 28-27. 4 was the Ravens. They beat the Bengals 35-34. 3, I had the Bills. They defeated the Colts 30-20. 2 was the Lions. They beat the Texans 26-23. And 1 was the Chiefs, who escaped the Broncos with the 16-14 win. But getting into this week's rankings and beginning things at number 10, I've got the Cardinals. So the Cardinals enter my top 10 for the first time of the season, after they destroyed the Jets by a score of 31-6. The Cardinals' offense played really well, putting up 31 points, and they have now scored at least 28 points in 3 straight games. Kyler Murray had a great game as he went 22 of 24 passing for 266 yards and a touchdown, plus he had 2 touchdowns as a runner. The Cardinals ran the football effectively, rushing for 147 yards and 3 touchdowns, and their defense was also dominant, allowing just 6 points and 207 total yards. But the Cardinals, they're playing really well right now. They've won 4 straight games, are currently sitting at 6-4 and atop the NFC West, and I've got the Cardinals at number 10. Coming in at number 9, I have the Vikings. So the Vikings fall to number 9 despite beating the Jaguars as they won by a score of 12-7, but this was a terrible performance against a bad Jaguars team. The Vikings offense was bad, they did not score a touchdown, and instead kicked 4 field goals. Sam Darnold did not play well, throwing for 241 yards and 3 interceptions, but the Vikings, they did run the ball fairly effectively, rushing for 169 yards. But the Vikings, they won this game because of their defense, as their defense dominated this game. They allowed just 7 points and 143 total yards, also allowed just 3.3 yards per play, and forced 3 turnovers. But this was about as ugly as a win can be for the Vikings, but they did get the win, although I do have them falling to number 9. Coming in at number 8, I have the Eagles. So the Eagles move up to number 8 after they demolished the Cowboys 34-6, and they dominated this game all around. Offensively, they were great as they put up 34 points. Jalen Hurts had 4 total touchdowns, 2 passing and 2 rushing, and the Eagles ran the ball very effectively, rushing for 187 yards and 2 touchdowns, while averaging 4.9 yards a carry. A.J. Brown also had a big game with 5 catches for 109 yards. Then the Eagles' defense was great. They allowed just 6 points and forced 5 turnovers, and the Eagles allowed just 46 net passing yards when you include the sacks. But the Eagles, they demolished the Cowboys, and they're at number 8. Coming in at number 7, I have the Commanders. So the Commanders fall a couple of spots to number 7 after they lost to the Steelers 28-27. But I think they got robbed on that 4th down completion to Zach Ertz, because I think that was definitely a first down, and they got robbed by the officials, giving them a terrible spot. But the Commanders, they played pretty well offensively in this game, putting up 27 points against a good Steelers defense. Jaden Daniels was okay with 202 yards, and the Commanders struggled to run the football, rushing for just 60 yards on 2.7 yards per carry, although they did rush for 3 touchdowns. Then defensively for the Commanders, they didn't play their best game, allowing 28 points, but the Commanders, they fall to 7-3 after losing to the Steelers, and I have them at number 7. 6, I have the Packers. So the Packers enter at number 6. They were on a bye this week, but it's a well-timed bye for the Packers. Jordan Love gets time to get healthy. The Packers get to regroup after not a great performance against the Lions their last time out, and the Packers, they enter at number 6. Next week, they face the Bears. 5th, I have the Steelers. So the Steelers move up to number 5 after they beat the Commanders by a score of 28-27. The Steelers' offense played well, putting up 28 points. Russell Wilson continued to play very well as he threw for 3 touchdowns, including the game winner to Mike Williams, who they just traded for on Tuesday. George Pickens also had a good game with 5 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. And then defensively for the Steelers, they allowed 27 points, which tied a season high, but their defense played fairly well considering they were facing a very good Commanders offense. Plus, they got some big stops late in the game to seal the win. But the Steelers, they're now 7-2 on the season, and I have them at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I have the Ravens. So the Ravens enter at number 4 after they beat the Bengals 35-34 on Thursday Night Football. The Ravens' offense was great. Lamar Jackson continued to look like the MVP frontrunner as he had 290 yards and 4 touchdowns. Derrick Henry got in the end zone once again to continue his touchdown streak, and has now scored a touchdown in every game this season. And while the Ravens' offense was good, their defense was not so good. They had no answer for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, as they allowed Burrow to throw for 428 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Jamar Chase had 11 catches for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the Ravens' defense was able to get a stop on potential game-winning two-point conversion. But the Ravens' offense played well, defense not so much. That's been a common theme so far this season. But the Ravens, after a thrilling win over the Bengals, they're at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I have the Bills. So the Bills remain at number 3 after they defeated the Colts by a score of 30-20. The Bills' offense was great, putting up 30 points, and they've now hit 30 points in 4 straight games. Josh Allen played a good game with 280 passing yards, although he did throw 2 interceptions, but he did also add 50 yards and a touchdown on the ground. The Bills' defense had a great game, forcing 4 turnovers and getting to the quarterback 4 times. But the Bills, they're playing well. They've now won 5 straight games, and I have them at number 3. Coming in at number 2, I have the Lions. So the Lions remain at number 2 after they beat the Texans by a score of 26-23. The Lions, they didn't play a very good game, but they were able to get the win. They used a big second half where they outscored the Texans 20-0 after they trailed 23-7 at the half. But Jared Goff really struggled, throwing for 5 interceptions, and became just the 3rd quarterback in the last 30 years to throw 5 picks in a game and still win. But Jared Goff finished the game with 240 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. The Lions also struggled to run the football, rushing for just 105 yards and 3.3 yards a carry. But you have to give a lot of credit to the Lions defense in this game, because they were great in the second half, shutting out the Texans. Plus, they forced the Texans to settle for 4 field goals, plus got 4 sacks. Lions kicker Jake Bates was also great, with a 58-yard field goal to tie it and a 52-yarder to win it. But the Lions, despite playing a bad game, they were able to beat a good Texans team, and the Lions remain at number 2. And coming in at number 1, I have the Chiefs. So the Chiefs remain at number 1 after they beat the Broncos by a score of 16-14, as they blocked a potential game-winning field goal as time expired. But this looked like it was going to be the game the Chiefs were finally going to lose. The Broncos, they led all the way until there were 6 minutes left, where the Chiefs briefly took the lead. But then the Broncos got the ball into field goal range and were set up to kick the game-winning field goal, but the Chiefs blocked the kick. The Chiefs, their offense didn't play that well. They scored just 16 points. Patrick Mahomes threw for 266 yards and a touchdown. But the Chiefs, they had no run game, rushing for just 57 yards. Then the Chiefs' defense played pretty well, holding the Broncos to just 14 points. And they were able to get the win, but it wasn't the best game for the Chiefs, and they should not have won this game. But they are still undefeated, and they were able to get the win, and they're still at number 1 in my power rankings. And I can definitely understand the argument to have the Lions at number 1. I think they're the best team in the NFL. I just don't think I can drop the Chiefs if they're still undefeated. Plus, they're the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. But those are my Week 11 NFL power rankings. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications so you don't miss any other upcoming videos. I do my best to put as often as possible. I will see you in the next video.